light is red, the kids are in bed, which means it is time for Mile High Musings with me, Aaron Yowell, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Because the morning time just kind of sucked. Also, chat, I miss you. Yeah, that's right, chat. I miss you, and I am glad to be back in the evenings. We were experiencing some technical difficulties before going live tonight. So here's hoping. We all know how bad my microphone gets when I breathe funny. So, man, welcome to episode 21 of Mile High Musings here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Aaron Yowell. I hope that you all had a fantastic 2 weeks. We had some friends in town last weekend to celebrate a birthday, so thanks for waiting so patiently. Man, what a roller coaster 2 weeks for us Colorado sports fans, huh? On today's show, we are going to talk about yesterday's just terrible outcomes, but we will try to pick ourselves up by the bootstraps on this potentially last episode of 2023, since 2 holidays fall on Sundays. Let's see. Nuggets lose, Avs lose, Broncos lose, and Colorado School of Mines all lose yesterday. Woof. We're going to try to make the best of it and learn from our lessons from the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future on this episode 21, Bah Humbug. And in segment 4, I will don the big white beard, red hat, and coat and try to squeeze my big old butt down a few chimneys as I play Santa for our big 4 teams in the state. But, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, sports fans of all ages, it is time we ascend to the top of the peak and breathe in that rarefied mountain air as I bring you sports takes miles above the rest. And yes, no matter what happened yesterday,
in this house, we praise the Lord and cheer for them Denver Broncos.
But before we get started, let's handle some business. For the last 9 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to keep up with the latest in sports and with our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website, iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and all of our show pages with personal bios and the podcast feed for each individual show, including this one, Mile High Musings. Check out the show page at iesportsradio.com/Mile High Musings. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop, including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeve shirts, hoodies, and so much more. For nearly a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans and for the fans, and we thank each and every one of you for all of your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. What's good, sports fans? It's your boy Aaron Yowell from Mile High Musings here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And I am super excited to tell you about a new sponsor on the network, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm's Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket beef jerky offers gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. That's my favorite part. This is some of the best beef jerky you can get your hands on. Check them out online, planetjerky.com. Once again, a huge shout out to our sponsor, Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that is on a whole other planet. On a cold night in Denver, not terribly cold. Actually, just about the same as it is in Dallas. So you pick where it's cold. Our beloved teams were visited by not one, not two, but three ghosts. Each picking out a team currently playing sports ball in our fair city. And the first ghost visitor that we have is the ghost of Christmas past. And they came to visit the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets have played 6 games in the past 2 weeks. And you know what? They're not great. They're 3-3. And every time I watch the Nuggets lose, getting off the Charles Dickens for a minute, I think about old National Geographic documentaries where you would see an apex predator playing with their food, or now it's like Facebook videos or Instagram reels or whatever, where there's an apex predator playing with their food and the food bites back or, stings them in this case. And that's what I feel like is happening a lot for both the Nuggets and the Avalanche, who are currently playing as we speak. They're leading 4-1 in the third period. We're going to get to them a little bit later. But, last night was no different. The Nuggets let a very good, very young Oklahoma City Thunder team hang around. And in the fourth quarter, OKC got some confidence off of a lot of Chet Holmgren blocks. And in the end, the Nuggets couldn't hold off a big fat run by the Thunder that buried Denver. Now, Jamal Murray has been out, and he's been in and out, so there's been very little consistency. Aaron Gordon was in and out. Jokic is getting thrown out, which my man's has got to control his temper, but also he is getting a very garbage whistle. And I am not one to blame the refs. Hardly at all in the NBA. That game moves so fast. Those dudes are so strong, so big. I feel like it's really hard to do that. I mean, I remember officiating middle school and high school ball, and that was hard. I can't imagine, and in the NBA, there's so many different rules because they're all princesses anyway. And now we've got KCP out in concussion protocol, and I think that was actually an issue. I think that, the Nuggets were in and up and down without Jamal and without AG, but I think last night you could actually trace that loss back to KCP being out, because in previous games, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope actually owned SGA. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was not able to get off because KCP is such a good defender, and when it came down to it, I think Peyton Watson's going to be a good defender, and that's who was on SGA when SGA hit the game-winning shot with 0.9 left last night. P-Watt's going to be there. But KCP's ability to anticipate a shot, it comes with skins on the wall, with games played. That's the biggest thing. Like, Peyton's a little bit taller than KCP, but KCP's got those skins on the wall, and I think that's going to matter the most. It was unfortunate. I'm telling you, though, Nuggets were up, and then they dinked around with it, and then I think they went, it's a bunch of young pups. I guess we're going to be okay. And they fluffed around and let, Chet Holmgren kind of set the pace. Because the Nuggets, if you go back and watch their last 3 or 4 possessions, they actually look scared to attack. They look scared to go inside because Holmgren ripped off a couple blocks, including blocking AG at the rim. So Nuggets lose 119-118 last night. They're 3-3 in their last 6. The Nuggets are exactly in the same place record-wise right now as they were 365 days ago. And like I said 2 weeks ago on the pod, it feels like they're underachieving. Man, what a championship does to you, huh? And last night's game was important because it was the first of 2 games in a row with standings implications. OKC and Dallas, who the Nuggets play tomorrow night, now sit between the Nuggets and the Timberwolves. And Timberwolves, I don't know. They've got pieces. We'll see when the months get long and then we get a little bit deeper in the season. Are they built? Are they a regular season team? Because that's what the Nuggets used to be. I can think back to yesteryear, Ghost of Christmas Past, where the Nuggets were a really good regular season team, and then in the playoffs they were just bloop. So is that what Minnesota's going to be, or are they going to be? Are they going to be an actual team? Now, in the Charles Dickens story, The Ghost of Christmas Past shows Ebenezer Scrooge, his generous, long gone ways. The happy, young businessman that Scrooge used to be, who was in love, and who unfortunately put his work before his girl. And I think the Nuggets need to get back to work. They actually need to put the work in. They need to put the work before the quote-unquote goal, the championship, as it were. Now, the Nuggets have the easiest remaining schedule in the NBA as far as game frequency is concerned. Up to this point in the season, they've played the most back-to-back games in the league, and they have been on the road a lot, which is weird because I don't feel like the Avalanche have been at home a lot. Avs go through little dips. You know, I mean, they got to balance their schedules. Mammoth just started, so it just feels like I'm not dead sure why the Nuggets have been on the road, but there they are. So we'll see. Nuggets need to, get back to putting in the work, and it's crazy. I say all these things about last year and the Ghost of Christmas Past because I'm going to talk about it in a later segment, but the Twitter doomsdayers, the ex-doomsdayers were killing me yesterday, and I think that before anybody comes, hollering for a big old fat trade or Michael Malone's job or whatever, like, Denver fans need to pump their brakes. The Nuggets play a long season, and so do the Avalanche, and we're not even halfway through. So my question, my Charles Dickens question is, can the Nuggets return to their old ways? The Ghost showed Scrooge his more energetic days, so can the Nuggets get back to the days of yore, June, as it were? But Coach is calling a timeout, and on the other side, we're going to get a visit from the Ghost of Christmas Present. You are listening to Mile High Musings here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
College football, and do you want to hear a college football show dedicated to all that is college football, including junior college and the CCCAA and the NJCAA, the NAIA, and the NCAA, including Division III, Division II, Division I AA in the FCS, and Division I Single A in the FBS. Well, then look no further. Join myself, Larry B., and my colleagues, Mr. H-Town Blake Henley, and Mr. Christian Espinoza, each week during the college football season for the latest in college football on 3 and Out College Edition, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Check out 3 and Out College Edition Saturday mornings. It's bowl season, so Larry B. and Turn got a lot to talk about right now. So that's Saturday mornings here on the network. Speaking of the network, don't forget to give the show a follow over on X. Ooh, excuse me. At Mile High Musings _IESR. Taryn's in the chat tonight, and that was one of the biggest things about coming back to the evening slot, besides the fact that I was tired of getting up at 6 a.m. on probably the one day I could sleep in. Usually, is that I had no chat. And so my episodes were going 45 minutes, and they just felt like business, and they didn't feel like any fun or interaction. So really excited to have people back in the chat. Speaking of college football, those Colorado School of Mine Ore Diggers lost the Division II championship yesterday, 38-7 against the Harding Bison. And it was here in North Dallas. It was actually in McKinney, which is not that far away. My daughter and I were actually supporting the school that I used to teach at and used to direct theater at. Their musical was this weekend. It was White Christmas, which was fantastic. It was beautiful and breathtaking, but I went full dad mode to support, my former home, these kids that I watched, grow over 4 years, and these kids that actually love my family because they were around all the time. So that's where my support was, and literally everything was at the same time. But John Matocha, quarterback for the Ore Diggers, set a whole bunch of records in his career, including touchdowns, passing yards, total touchdowns. My man's was insane, but unfortunately for the second year in a row, the Ore Diggers lost in the championship. So, in the second dream, goal, perfect. Avs go up 5-1. Rijo. In the second of the visits to Ebenezer Scrooge, Scrooge is visited by the Ghost of Christmas Present. And in the Dickens story, The Ghost of Christmas Present shows Scrooge the struggles that Bob Cratchit and his family are going through and the sacrifices that are being made because Cratchit isn't getting paid what he should. Cough. And also, the ghost shows Scrooge's nephew's party that he was invited to, and he shows Scrooge's nephew and friends making fun of Scrooge, and that is because the reputation that Scrooge has at the moment, and right now the Avalanche are, well, their reputation is up in the air. I would say the roller coaster that I described at the beginning of the episode holds true. It's not as negative as Scrooge, and I got to be honest with you, gang, I could have placed the Broncos anywhere here, but I made a last-minute change and got a little dramatic, that theater degree showing and all that jazz for segment 3. But I put the Avs with the Ghost of Christmas Present. Avs have played 7 games in the last week, 8 including the game that's occurring as we speak. Again, Avs are up 5-1 with 10.5 minutes to go in the third. And, you know, of the possible 16 points, the Avs have grabbed 6, 8 if they can hold them off, which it kind of looks like they are. You know, 50%. That's not good. The Avs were accumulating points at a roughly 70% clip. So for every 10 points available, the Avs were getting 7 of them. That was pretty good. There was only one team with a better percentage, and that was the LA Kings, because they played fewer games, and they have a better record than the Avs. They're actually playing really well, so shout out to the Kings. And the reason I say that the 50% point get is not good enough is because if you go back and look at the teams that the Avalanche played over the last 2 weeks, the Avs were playing against competition that on paper is nowhere near them. And also the Avs just finished a 5-game homestand on which, sorry, there's a breakaway. And Blackwood stopped my boy Nate McKinnon. On that homestand, they played teams with worse records, and they should have gotten more points. So, Avs started the homestand with Winnipeg, and then they played last night and lost to Winnipeg 6-2, and they lost the first game of that homestand to Winnipeg 4-2. So take out the 10-4 losses total loss against Winnipeg. The Avs dropped points to the Flyers, who are just not very good by comparison to teams in their division and on paper compared to the Avalanche. But, you know, these games aren't played on paper. Period. The goaltending has been suspect, mediocre at best for the Avs, especially recently. The top line guys are producing. They're giving both Prosvetov and Georgiev goal support. So where's the rub? Well, the defense isn't helping the mediocre goaltending, especially last night. Passing the wrong colored sweater in the defensive zone is going to get you beat a lot, and that's actually what happened in the Flyers game towards the beginning of this homestand. Is the defense was just dorking with it. I said in the last segment, Apex Predators playing with their food. Avs are doing the exact same thing, just dorking with it. Oh, we're better, you know. No. Cale Makar's been out for 2 games now. He missed both the Winnipeg game last night, and he's not playing currently against the Sharks. He left halfway through, the game before the Winnipeg game with what I thought was a skate issue, but turns out it's a lower body injury, and you know how cryptic NHL coaches are with the injuries. But Makar's been out, and I don't think that's it. Avs have actually won. They're on pace to win 2 of 3 games without Cale, and I don't think that his absence last night is what led to the 6-2 butt whooping they caught in Winnipeg. I think the lack of defensive communication was really just what it was. Having never played hockey, I know they talk a lot. I mean, I talked a lot in basketball, obnoxiously so, but it just seems like there's not a lot of communication. And it's weird because if you want to throw out classic novels here, the Avalanche could be the curious tale of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So I feel like the Avs are really good when they're good, and they're really bad when they're bad. Taryn just hit me up. Weekend was a rough one for Colorado sports. Yeah, it was. Even Colorado State women's basketball team, who was crushing it, lost to Long Beach State on Friday. Long Beach is your alma mater, Taryn. Shout out. Yeah, it was a rough week for all Colorado sports. I think all of the college basketball teams lost. I think literally every single one of them lost. So just a rough one. Avs just gave up a goal here. It's 5-2 now. pretty. As I was talking about defense being suspect, defense didn't clear the puck. Garden ice, not guys. 3-on-2 in front of the net, and you're going to lose that every time. So 5-2 Avs right now. Just, and that's not one that's on my car either. So all of the tough patches for the Avalanche this year have looked exactly the same. They've all looked the same, where we've been fluffing around with the puck, not getting good clears in our zone, and then we're taking huge long shifts when we're on the long chain side of things, and we're giving a team a little bit of hope, maybe some momentum. Like right now, the Sharks are kind of flying after that goal. There's 9 minutes left. They're down 3. They tied the Avs in shots. It's a little rough, but you can't give teams confidence. The NHL is too unforgiving. Hockey, it just in general, is too unforgiving. So before the Winnipeg game, the Avs traded winger Tomas Tatar to the Kraken for a 5th-round pick. Now, that trade did not sink our battleship last night either. Tatar had scored all of 1 goal in 30 games. He had contributed 9 points, which, we paid a guy, and it wasn't a lot, but he was really good last year for the Devils, and the Devils were just as good as the Avs, and he didn't produce. And I will tell you, like, having watched a lot of Avalanche hockey this year, I think the biggest thing for Tatar is that the Devils seemed fast because they play in the East, and there aren't a lot of stupid fast teams in the East the way they are in the West. Tatar would fit on a Western Conference team like Seattle or Vegas, who plays just a little bit slower, a little grindier. Avs play too fast for Tatar, and I don't think it has anything to do with age. I think it just the speed with which the Avs move through the neutral zone, the way they work on the power play, it was just too much for him. I don't think he fit, and he was a good guy. Everybody seemed to like him in the locker room. We kind of got him on the cheap because he's a little bit older, but I'm not mad about the move. I actually think he was going to be the first maybe of 2 pieces. I don't think Ryan Johansson is along for this world either, and I said I was kind of excited for him. He's played okay, he scored tonight on a garbage goal, but Avs get a 5th-round pick for Tatar, and it's clearly the first of many moves the Avs are going to make to either shore up the second line, which has turned into the leftover line, or to shore up the defense, which usually is really good for Colorado, especially with Makar and Taves, but they're not playing together right now. The Avs are in such defensive disarray that Bednar's had to switch up the D pairings and split Makar and Taves. Sam Girard's out. He's getting help through the Players Association Assistance Program. And so we're calling up guys like Sam Malinsky, who's scored his first NHL goal this week, and he's playing great, but he's a rookie. And then you're relying on Jack Johnson, who's long in the tooth, and sometimes he's great, and sometimes he looks like an old man out there. And Josh Manson, who has been playing well this year, a lot better than he did last year, but still is not, I don't think he's really a number 3 defenseman, which tonight is basically where he's sitting. Caleb Jones has been a healthy scratch, so that tells you how much the Avs are loving Malinsky, but Avs are going to shore up either the second line or the defense, because the 4th line is fine. You've got Kiviranta. Tonight you've got Curtis McDermott, Freddie Olofsson, and Kiviranta. And then on the second line right now, you've got Ryan Johansson, Logan O'Connor, who got moved up from the 3rd line, which really the second line with the Johansson line is kind of the 3rd line tonight, the way I see it rolling out. But the 3rd line is Ross Colton, Miles Wood, and Jonathan Drouin right now. And it just, that line is too good. And the top line is balling out. I mean, I just saw a stat. I should have wrote it down. It was literally in the broadcast. But, I mean, Nichushkin, McKinnon, and Rantanen almost have 10 points each over the last stretch of 8 games or so. And that's what they're paid to do. Those are their big dogs. Nathan McKinnon is the highest paid player in the NHL. My man's he's on a 15-game point streak and a 14-game home point streak. Or it's 15 and 15. And he's the second in the league in scoring with 46 points. And those points, or those streaks, include tonight's 3-point game with a goal and 2 assists. And that's the highest paid player, like I said, doing highest paid player things. That's what he's supposed to do. And I called for him to be the leader of this team a couple weeks ago when we were going through a slide. And Mac doesn't need to lead by running his mouth. He needs to say very few things, and he needs to keep playing He needs to keep playing the way he's playing, because then he can look at guys and be like, that's not how we do it. And that's really what it is. That's not how we do it. So McKinnon's got 46 points on the year, second only to Nikita Kucherov, who just scores points in bunches because the Lightning don't have a lot else. His line mates are helping out. Like I said, Nichushkin and Rantanen are on a tear, but the defense in front of the goalies, whoever is in net, is just hanging those goalies out to dry. And, you know, I was watching the Calgary game, a couple blowouts, Calgary comeback, and then a big blowout against Buffalo. And I kind of thought the Avs had it figured out, and then we go and get our butts kicked by Winnipeg, and then we turn around literally 24 hours later, and we're blowing out San Jose. That just tells you how bad. That just tells you how bad San Jose is. Now, Avs need to figure it out now, and they need to change their ways, because their championship window is the present. And there's your Charles Dickens. We got back to that. So, as we leave the segment, Avs are up 5-2, and Sharks are kind of swarming, 6.5 left. But we're going to take a break. On the other side, it's going to get spooky. We're going to get a visit from the ghost of Christmas future. You are listening to Mile High Musings here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's good, everyone? It's Drewski, the host of Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. On this station, we cover everything in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area. From we cover the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Stars, Dallas Mavericks, Dallas Wings, Texas Rangers, TCU, SMU, we cover it all right here every Wednesdays from 9 to 10 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you stay live with me on the Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Give my boy and two-sport division rival Drewski a listen Wednesday nights here on the network. He's going to have a lot to talk about this week because the Cowboys laid a big old fat egg against Buffalo today. They looked just as bad as the Broncos did. And speaking of the Broncos,
in this house, we praise the Lord and cheer for them Denver Broncos.
Damn right we do. And look, in the Charles Dickens story and in the theatrical version that I had a chance to direct a long time ago, the Ghost of Christmas Future is supposed to be the Grim Reaper. And the Grim Reaper shows Ebenezer Scrooge his unkempt, unvisited tombstone, because if Scrooge didn't change his ways, nobody would care to remember him. And I'm telling you right now, those Broncos have got to change their ways. Oh, baby. The Broncos looked more akin to the team last night that started 1-5 rather than the team that had gone 6-1 in their last 7. But let's stop right there, because as much as this is the Grim Reaper segment and the spooky, spooky, scary segment, I've got a rant. And it's my show, and I want to rant. And that rant goes like this. We've gone 6-1 in our last 7. Well, now it's 6-2 in our last 8, but I digress. After you give up a 70 burger, you turn your season around so much that you're actually legitimately in the playoff conversation? I mean, after last night, they need a lot of help. They didn't get it from the Patriots, which is fine. Broncos went out, and they get a little help. They can still sneak into the wild card. If the Chiefs decide to lay an egg and the Broncos went out, they could actually win the division, which I never, ever thought would be here. And also, my prediction of 9-8 is still holding pretty steady. So, all that being said, I mean, it is awesome that the Broncos have turned it around in the way that they have. And people forget that. Last night during the first quarter of the game, for some reason it's only during the Bronco games or Avs losses, I guess, because I'm a glutton for punishment. But during the Broncos games, win, lose, or draw, I like to hop on X, and I had to unfollow a lot of people on X in the first quarter of the game because the doomsday comments after the Lions made a great play to cause Russ to fumble on our first drive made me sick. The way they were talking was that Russ fumbled by like sneezing. They didn't take into account that the Lions dialed up a nice blitz and 6-2 now Avs with an empty netter, and McKinnon gets another one. That's 4 points for the night. The Lions dialed up a really nice blitz, uncovered. It was a naked bootleg. The Broncos were running stuff in their bag. That side of the field is supposed to be unchecked because the tight end, Troutman, is supposed to run what we call the Colorado, where you run a little in and then you smash out. So it's supposed to be like that, and the Lions read it well, and they blitzed and got Russ to cough it up, and the people were just losing their mind, saying, Russ this, Russ that. Now later we're going to talk about Russ in the second half. But at that point, that's not Russ's fault. Them not moving the football as the first half went on, 4 punts and that fumble, that's not good. And that is Russ's fault. But man, Doomsday Twitter, not the losing. It's not the losing. I can deal with losing. Look, whatever. It's the Doomsday X Twitter people that make me not want to do this show because, like, it's literally, I'm going to say the stupidest, most knee-jerk reaction thing on the planet for a reaction. They didn't get like, sometimes I'll bite and I'll engage and I won't, say anything stupid. I'll be like, hey, you're like, hold on, go back and look. You're looking at small sample size here. But last night, the reaction they got was an unfollow. And I'm not saying people aren't allowed to have an opinion. My God, that's the whole point of that platform, right, is to have an opinion. I had one. That's how I got this show. Thank you, Larry B. And it was, during a time where my team was incredibly successful. Denver Nuggets winning an NBA championship. So I'm not saying that people aren't allowed to have an opinion. What I am saying is that I'm allowed to control what pops up in my feed. And so there were quite a few accounts, Colorado sports accounts that, I'd been following for a while that I just unfollowed super fast because the doomsday takes were so unfounded. It was ridiculous. And I don't like the scripted, I got to play the anti-hero, or I'm going to, like whatever the sports media, ESPN, Fox, whatever their deal is against, especially Nikola Jokic. But like, I don't like the scripted, I gotta be against them. I gotta be like, no. At the point where Russ fumbled the football, our defense looked really good. And then our defense started to look really bad because they got tired. Because they were on the field way too damn much. Because Russ couldn't get the ball moving. And that, I think, is on Russ. I think Sean Payton had a nice game called. Nice game scripted. I think he was doing a good job. There was just lack of execution. And when you're a incredibly highly paid quarterback like Russ, that is when you're going to catch the blame and not the head coach. But people are going to, people are going to be like, Russ this, Russ that. Why not? And then some people are going to be like, Sean Payton shouldn't yell at him. Sean Payton should absolutely yell at him. We're going to get there too. But, defense was on the field too much. And I think last night kind of proved that Russ is not, emotionally is not the right word. But he doesn't seem capable of leading this team right now. And that's your starting QB's job. Like, when things have gone well for the Nuggets, sorry, Taryn, when we whooped the Chargers, and it was a whooping, it was because our defense led the way. It's because Alex Singleton said, F that, we're done with this. And there's lots of amazing quotes about him literally saying, F this, we're going to play our way. Broncos didn't get a chance to play their way last night because the defense was too damn tired to play their way. They had to play reactionary, which is going to get you beat 99 times out of 100. So I think Russ is proving that he can't lead this team right now. Avs are looking for another one here. Your defense couldn't create takeaways, which fuels the offense. So 4 punts and a fumble in the first half is going to set the Broncos up for failure. And I know that they were down 3 scores at halftime, and they clawed their way back against Houston. And could they do it again? Hell no. Not the way Jared Goff was slinging. and not the way Russ was not. And that's not doomed. That was just short-term failure. And I think this is all short-term failure. It's like the CU Buffs, man. They're only going to be bad this year. Look at the transfer portal. Look at the recruits they're getting. People like the twins that are coming from Kentucky. I remember seeing them randomly in a game. I was watching at a buddy's house, thinking, and they're from the Dallas area. Dang, those kids are good. They're going to CU. Non sequitur. Nathan McKinnon has the most points in the National Hockey League at home. He has 32 points at home this year. That's better than Connor McDavid, who everybody thinks is the greatest player on the planet. I respectfully disagree, and I think that the Avalanche have 2 players better than him. The Stanley Cup proves it. So, anywho, Russ went 18 to 32 for 223 and a touchdown. We're going to talk about Jerry Jeudy here in a second. The run game wasn't good enough, but credit to Samaje Perine for making the most of his touches, game in and game out. Now, let's talk about Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy when he gets touches, he does okay. But his drops are killing him. And I remember when Cortland Sutton was a rookie and everybody's like, oh, his drops. Yeah, Court fixed that quick, though. And look at the body of work since then. And part of that was, Cortland got hurt and all that. But Jerry Jeudy hasn't fixed his drops. And I got to be honest with you, I'm down. I'm down to trade him. Like, get rid of him. Fine with me. Get rid of him. We got Tim Patrick coming back. Like, I'm fine. Put him on the trade block. Let's go. Sounds great. It's fine with me. Because is Russ really the future? Is he really the quarterback that's going to... Is he the one? No. Absolutely not. Now, here's the thing. People are going to make a meal this week out of Sean Payton yelling at Russ on the sideline. Payton was irate. Broncos had 3 chances to score. I don't know why they didn't score. I will say the officials were a little sus because there were 2 that looked blatantly obvious like touchdowns, and they called them short. And then the whole weirdo. I've never seen an offsides penalty called like that. Now again, I'm not gonna blame the officials. So whatever. Sean Payton, they did a long job of watching Sean Payton scream at Russ. And Payton said in his postgame interview that what he says to Russ is none of, like, parentheses, our business. And he's right, man. NFL quarterbacks can't be dainty little snowflakes. They're basically leading warriors into battle. So if Russ can't handle the emotion and the correction that comes with the expectations set upon Sean Payton and the Broncos and the ownership, then boy, bye. I don't need a snowflake to lead my team. Like, forget that noise. And here's the thing. I don't think I said this on a podcast. I think I was talking to, maybe it was last week during the Chargers game or something, but Avs go final 6-2 win as we speak. I think I was talking to a buddy or my grandma or something, but the thing that made Elway successful and the thing that made Peyton Manning successful is they were like John Wayne. They didn't give a shit. They handled their business. And they weren't worried about... Oh, my mic's freaking out, isn't it? They weren't worried about their brand and their charities and all that. No. They were there to play football. They were there for their social media name and fame and all that jazz. Hell no. They were there to play football. John, after he retired, went into the management side and did a mediocre job. And Peyton Manning is the GOAT. Like, I know Tom Brady's the GOAT, but whatever. I love Peyton Manning so much. Like, that man can nearly do no wrong. So, whatever. But during his tenure with the Broncos, he gave a damn about one thing, and that was football. Russ does not. Russ is too all over the place. He's got too many irons in the fire. And we all know that at best, Russ was a bridge to the next quarterback. Like, whether it's next season, I hope it's next season. I can't take any more of this shit. For a while, I thought he was the bridge to Drake May. I don't want Caleb Williams. Speaking of dainty little snowflakes who are all about their ego and their brand. Give me Drake May. Now, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know who it is. I don't know who that next one is. But I will tell you one thing. Sean Payton has done an outstanding job this year. He's changed the culture. He got rid of Frank Clark and Randy Gregory, who didn't seem like they were great for the locker room. And Sean Payton's holding them to a standard. And I have said this so many times on this show, that your head coach is supposed to hold these grown men to a standard. And that is exactly what Sean Payton is doing. And he's going to get his guy. He's going to get his guy. And when he does...
Go Broncos!
That's right, Penny Quinn. Go Broncos. Now, Broncos need a lot of help from here on out, but they still control their own destiny in that if they don't win, they're out. Next week, Broncos host the Patriots on Christmas Eve. I actually love a Christmas Eve football game. I think, hot sports opinion, I think Christmas Eve football is better than Christmas Day basketball. Even though I used to love the Christmas Day uniforms that they would come out with for the NBA, they stopped doing that. And the Nuggets blew out the Suns last year on Christmas Day. But I love Christmas Eve football. I'm excited. I get to be with my family and watch it. 6 p.m. Mountain, 7 Central, 8 Eastern in Denver. So I ask you this. Are the Broncos standing at an unkempt, unvisited grave? Or is Russ? Time will tell. We're going to take one more break. And on the other side, you're listening to Mile High Musings on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Chi-Town Weekly is going to have a lot to talk about this week after the failed Hail Mary today against the Browns, and our Avs head to Chicago on Tuesday. So enemy territory, here we come. But give Chi-Town Weekly a listen on the network.
In this house, we praise the Lord and cheer for them Denver Broncos.
I cannot stress that enough. Both parts of that drop. I told you when I started this show 20 episodes ago. That's right, we are episode 21. I said that I would be the hardest on the Broncos, and I have been, and I'm not going to take it back. So for segment 4, I would like to pass out some Christmas gifts. In the spirit of the season, I'm going to give a Christmas gift or 2 or 3 to each of our 4 major teams. Something that should be on their respective Christmas lists, and these things are more like the socks and underwear that you got as a kid. Not the shiny new Transformer you wanted, but the really boring practical thing that you needed, that when you became an adult and you had your own job, you were like, Jesus, I miss the socks and underwear.
What, Daddy?
Penny Quinn, you'll understand one day when you have to pay rent, baby. So, in the spirit of the season, to the Colorado Rockies, I gift you new management. Now, this has not happened, but I think that new management is the thing that you need most of all, because the running of your day-to-day operations is, well, terrible. And new leadership would be the beginning of many changes that need to be made surrounding Rocky Mountain Baseball. Dome, Dome. Closed-in stadium. Dome. To the Broncos, I give you a longer leash than most. That's right. I see the direction this team is heading under Sean Payton, and I'm encouraged. Have they been blown out a couple times this year? Yes. Have they done the unthinkable by beating the Chiefs, going on a crazy win streak, landing at 500 after it looked like they were primed for the first pick in the draft? Yes. I still expect a lot from you, Broncos, but I will not be the first one to bail on you or throw you out with this year's wrapping paper. So to the Broncos, I give a longer leash. To those Colorado Avalanche, I give you a mirror. And I give you a travel mirror so that it can go with you everywhere because you need to look into it. Remember who you are and see all the small things you're not doing. You have all the pieces in place, maybe, minus 2C, to win and win right now. So with that travel mirror, I ask you to stay true to the men you see in the mirror. Cue the Michael Jackson. To the man in the mirror. And to our world champion Denver Nuggets, I gift you 3 things. A Band-Aid and some magic spray to start. You have been bit by the injury bug a little bit this year, and with that Band-Aid to make those boo-boos heal, you need a little bit of that magic spray. If you watch football, soccer, you know exactly what I'm talking about. To act as that placebo, to get your butts back out there and handle your business. I also, Denver Nuggets, give you a pacifier to shove in your mouth when the calls aren't going your way. Shut up and dominate. You're not going to get the whistle. You've never gotten the whistle. You're never going to get the whistle. So shut the hell up and handle your business. You're the best team on the planet for a reason. Ho, ho, ho. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I bid you adieu for 2023. It has been a ride. I am so thankful that in this year I got to start this show. Thank you to Larry B and the network for having me on. I look forward to getting back at it January 2024. Taryn, thank you for being in the chat tonight. It was nice to have somebody in the chat. It was good to be back at the old time slot. Don't forget to check out all the shows here on the network and give us a follow over on X at MileHighMusings_IESR. Go to all of our social media and give us a follow. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. And it's your boy Aaron Yell with a fat Mile High salute signing off from the top of the mountain.
In this house, we praise the Lord and cheer for them Denver Broncos.
Have a great, great week.
Go Broncos!